Hello old sport, my name is Vincent Cecil. I'm an illustrator, graphic novelist, history lover, and I'm currently working on a graphic novel retelling of The Great Gatsby. And that's the tie-in for today's video. So I was inspired by the 100 Heads challenge that's been kind of floating around, but I didn't really want to do just random stoic portraits. I wanted to use the character designs for my graphic novel so that I would have different and more lively expressions that I could use for each character. I figured not only would it be useful for me since I'm doing a story with characters making faces all day, it would also be a little bit harder as well because doing expressions is hard, like to make them look good and in style as well. While the original challenge had you do 10 heads over 10 days, on the first day I realized pretty quickly and was humbled immediately that doing 10 heads in 10 days, it was gonna take some time and I have other things to do. So I shortened it a little bit so that I could do just 10 heads over 5 days and I would just make it up to 50 heads in 5 days. So let's start with the character designs themselves. So by main characters, I mean Gatsby, Daisy, Knit, Jordan, and Tom. The Gatsby gang, as I like to call them. Other characters I can practice and probably will do a challenge for them later on like this, as I make more reference sheets, but for right now I'm just starting with the main characters. By the way, this isn't plugged into anything. I just wanted to get the vibes, okay? It's my show and I can look like this if I want to, okay? Fuck off. Alright, so let's start with Gatsby. With Gatsby, I had in mind for quite a while before I took this project seriously what he kinda looked like. I'm very much in the this was either a mitts or a white passing guy or a man of color camp since I first read the book back in high school. Fitzy most likely envisioned a white dude, but it's public domain and I'm the captain now. I first started with Dev Patel as inspo because, I mean, look at him, he's beautiful. After a friend's suggestion and further working and revising, I ended up with a Lebanese Indian Gatsby. He became a morph of Sandhill Ramamurti and Tamino Amir in the end. Next we have Daisy. I'm tired of thin blondes being the main love interest. I'm sorry, but I am. For Daisy, I went about looking for a woman who, while she was still white, wasn't the stereotypical white lady love interest. I went through different actresses and models from that time, and that's how I came about Clarabelle. She was the original it girl from the 1920s, and I was smitten by her at first glance. She had like a young, carefree baby doll look about her that I really, really liked. So I played with her look a bit and with Daisy's hair, and I did take some liberties because she does come off a bit more 1930s-ish, but women could have their hair long and out like this, and they did, so. It's not like everybody has to be like cookie cutter bobbed up, even if they are wealthier and in the celebrity sphere like my Daisy is. Also, it's not like I won't just change her hair occasionally anyway. She had some other influences, but more so in spirit, like Marilyn Monroe, Miss Piggy, and Betty Boop. On to Nick. To me, he is a 6'3" mean girl with Midwestern catchphrases, and I love him for that. I also went the route of famous faces from the past when looking for his muse, because I find that if you have a good actor or celebrity, you have access to like a lot of reference material for like facial expressions and just angles and mannerisms if they indeed act. So I was very happy when I found Gregory Peck for Nick. He does an equal amount of like perplexed eyebrow heavy expressions, but also cute boy next door smiles that give off a very neighborly vibe for Nick. In the beginning it was a bit challenging to draw Nick, and I found as I was doing this challenge it's because out of all of the characters, he had the most angular face and everybody else in the main five had more like rounded out features. Gatsby used to have cheekbones, but I did away with them because I favored having him come off more buff and chubby, especially after I looked at Dev Patel's chubby cheeks. So in the end, once I started to lean more into the roundedness aspects Nick's face could have, he became much more easier for me to work with. It felt like I finally cracked the code with this guy. See, I'm telling you, this exercise is helpful. Jordan! Bless them. They have gone through the most revising and redesigning. I guess it's because I had a very rigid way that I was approaching the retelling first off, and as I kept finding more and more history facts, or I kept getting inspired by different things, I kept drawing the characters over more, I was able to tweak and tweak a little bit more as I went along. And Jordan for sure has been through the ringer with this. Jordan, while they're another could have been mixed or white passing character in my eyes, when I first started, they were like pretty white passing. I had a different story for them back then when I first started with the pilot back in 2020. Once I went on break to actually write this thing, I ended up with a Afro-Latin Jordan. Again, I am the captain now. I already had a concept I wanted to explore with the abundance of different walks of life, be it race or queerness in that time period in the state of New York, and also I just wanted a dark-skinned Jordan. It can be as simple as that, man. Currently, Jordan's muse comes in the form of Spirit with the wonderful model Naomi Campbell. Jordan still has like a lot of work on their angle of the story, and as time goes by with writing and editing, I feel like I'm getting there. Honestly, their ambiguity just echoes how elusive they felt in the book, and I'm becoming more okay with that. Lastly, and certainly least, Thomas. Listen, I just wanted a Dilfy character. I'll be deadass with you. I was already sold with the 2013 version, so I just grabbed Clark Gable to serve as my Tom, and I just made him hulking. I don't draw Tom enough, like, barely actually, so it was important for me to, like, get on the ball with these expressions for him. I think with him and Nick, I'm going to practice them more and more, especially with, like, expressions behind the scenes, just so that I have them committed to memory a little bit better, like I do with Gatsby, Jordan, and Daisy. Okay, so back to the challenge itself. It wore me out. Not only because it took, like, quite a few hours each day, but also, well, because I'm trying to squash and stretch different faces and noses and eyes to not only look interesting and exaggerated, but to be, like, good enough for future use. It definitely felt like more of a, like, mental exercise than it did a drawing exercise, like, to morph all the characters' faces, and, like, I'm the kind of artist where I have to morph my face too so that I can get the drawing done right. Thank God I'm in the safety of my own room. A lot of the time we as artists or people just starting out, we don't really, like, we steer away from drawing expressions mostly because, well, one, they're hard, but also it feels bizarre, you know, it feels a little cringe sometimes, but hey, I'd rather have weird expressions that I might not use, but I know for a fact I can do them, rather than just reuse the same, like, 2 or 3 expressions in every other panel for a comic. That's just me personally. Like, I want to see how far I can go. I want to see how far I can push myself, you know? In the end, I can definitely say that this was helpful because at the first time, I was still trying to figure out what to do with each character. Second group, I felt way more comfortable with, and then the third time around, even though I was like, I might not use these expressions, I still wanted to see how far I could go and how much pushing I could do. Looking back at, like, older sketches, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I can do here, and this is how I can push this a little bit farther. I don't want to push this any farther. This is as far as I want to go with this version right here. Like, in the end, every little bit helped. I ended up saving, like, more than half of the expressions, and I plan to, like, reuse them or build upon them in the comic. I definitely think I'm going to, like, do this challenge again for either the same characters or, like, different characters that are going to come along later. If you enjoyed this video, I appreciate a like or subscribe is also very much appreciated. Regardless of if you're a comic artist or a regular old artist or if you're just starting out, would you like to try out this form of torch? I mean, challenge. This challenge, that's what it is. It's a fun little challenge. Would you try out this? It was tiring, I'm not gonna lie, it was tiring, dog. But it was helpful. It was very helpful in the end. If you would like to see and support my artwork, I have an Instagram, a Twitter, Patreon, and I also sell prints. You can keep track of the comic and its progress on my Instagram and my Twitter. And with that, I will see you next time. Stay rad, old sport.